Hey folks, another builder is in trouble. First it was fires, now it's kites. We're going to cover all that. The Bank of Canada indicates that rates could be higher for longer. We're going to delve into what the Bank of Canada pointed out. Pre-approvals are up, but why are the listings still struggling to meet up with demand? We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you my insight on why I think that's a problem. We have our YouTube channel that's relaunched, Owl Mortgage. Please, folks, if you have a chance, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Your help would be greatly appreciated. We're going to take your questions. We're going to get into the hockey helmet question bag, and we're going to have a great show. We got a lot to cover here today. So first off, another builder making the news. We have Stateview Homes, who has been caught up in a $30 million check kiting mess with TD Bank. This is on the heels of another developer burning down a whole site, having a site burned down. I don't know what is going on out in the marketplace these days, but it's absolutely crazy. It's episode 128 of the Wise Old Owl Show. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get a lot covered today, and hopefully I was going to wear the Leaf jersey in celebration of tonight's big game, but it is boiling. All of a sudden the weather turned, and if I put that thing on, I'm going to sweat like crazy. So I might put it on a little bit later. But first, Stateview Homes gets caught up in a check kiting mess for $37 million. And for those that don't know what check kiting is, it's when someone writes a check and the funds are not in the bank account where they're writing the check from, and they use the amount of time it takes to process that check to use those funds inappropriately. And this has been going on for a year, which leads me to believe somebody's sleeping at the switch at TD Bank, because if this happens once, you're clamping down, putting holds on those funds and not allowing folks to use those proceeds of the deposit until that check clears. So there's a lot more here to be told. We got a couple other lenders demanding funds on some of these sites. They don't know if the funds will be returned to the home buyer, which is going to lead to another series of problems. But what is going on in GTA? Builders are coming up with the weirdest situations, house fires, check kiting. What's next? It's not a healthy situation right now. Bank of Canada had a meeting and indicated on Wednesday that the governing council contemplated another rate hike. And they do believe that inflation could get a little bit sticky on its way down to 2% target rate. So what does that mean? If the target rate isn't met and that inflation gets stuck in that 3% range, it's sitting at 4.3 right now, down from 5.2 in February. If it gets stuck in the threes, they could have to give it another bump to get it down to that 2%. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But as far as rates are concerned, they're somewhat flat. 2 weeks ago, the 5-year bond was sitting at 3.109. Last week, it popped up a little bit to 3.15. It came down earlier in the week to 2.90, but today it's settling back at 3.10. Very flat over a 2-week basis. Not a lot of movement. I was hoping to get some relief getting into the spring market. This is when banks traditionally start competing for market share, and we're not seeing it. We're definitely not seeing any type of rate war, which is customary in this space. It's just not happening. So I don't know if that has to do with the percentage of the portfolio that's sitting in that extended amortization basket. You know, we've talked a little bit about CIBC having $52 billion in mortgages where the client's payments aren't covering the interest and it's going into negative amortization. That's not a good thing, okay? And it's a problem. It's a problem for spreads. And I think what lenders are doing is they're keeping their spreads wider to make up for the lack of business that's coming in. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on what the lenders do, but it's an interesting market. I want to talk a little bit about some stuff that we're seeing this week. And I had a really strange case, got called. So the client called and interrupted me at dinner. I took the call. My wife gave me a bad look, but listen, I'm in the business of helping people. I'm going to try to help people. Very desperate situation. A person who works in the business was referred to me by a lawyer and had a very unique situation. Client had a situation where she was in power sale. Husband had gone through cancer, still around, very stressed out. Okay, she is in power sale situation. She owes $1.950 million, and she's got 14 other mortgages registered behind her. And I just had to ask 3 times. Sorry, are you sure there's 14 mortgages? She goes, yes, there's 14 mortgages. I said, how'd you get 14 mortgages? Well, she gave me this long, drawn-out story. And I said, sell your property. Sell your property. If you can't make the payments on your $1.95 million mortgage and someone's going power sale, why the hell are you not selling this house? Why are you putting yourself in a worse situation? All she cared about was, well, what rate can you get me? What are my fees? What would the lender charge? And I'm like, I can't help you. I'm not going to put you in a worse situation than you already are, because when you're in that level of debt and you're seeking money quickly to solve a power sale problem, you're in the private money stage, okay? In that private money group where there's snakes, scorpions, and sharks, okay? And the shark's the worst, because when you're trying to get away from the shark, you could drown, right? So there's a double death risk there. So she's in shark territory, and they will find the blood in the water and will eat her up. And I told her many times, I said, listen, I wish I could help you, but I'm not comfortable helping you because the charges are going to be so cost prohibitive, you're going to be in worse shape than you already are. So sell the property. And, she didn't want to let up her desire to keep the property. And I just basically said, listen, I'll take a look, but chances are there's not anything I could do. Like, I really don't think I could help you. And when somebody's got 15 mortgages on their property, that's not good, okay? And this is a person in our industry. And I just shook my head. And my wife looked at me and she goes, man, see, I kind of know a little bit about mortgages, but how does somebody have 14 mortgages behind a first? Really bizarre situation, but this is the type of stuff we're seeing there right now. We're seeing a lot of people struggling, but we're also seeing a lot of pre-approvals. A lot of people are starting to turn positive on the sentiment meter. Seeing inflation come down from that high of 8.1, now down to 4.3, and it's come down quite a bit, quite fast. Whether it's reality or not, I don't know. But the fact is, the sentiment meter is improving. People are a lot more optimistic, and they're looking to buy. But the challenge still is there's not enough listings, and people want to know why. And I'm going to explain what my theory is, okay? Nobody's moving up. Nobody is going from one mortgage that was qualified pre-COVID and trying to get a mortgage today. Traditionally, you could get a mortgage for about 5 times your income. With the new stress test and the new interest rates, okay, that number is now 3.5%. So someone who has a mortgage of, let's say, $600,000 under the old system may not even qualify for that amount today. So they can't even move up. So that whole market is gone. Then you have all these folks that are in these variable mortgages, okay? And if you port a mortgage, you're going to have to requalify and you have to reset your amortizations. When you have about 30% of all variable mortgages and static payments where you're paying rates calculated at 1.5%, 1.6%, okay, and they're fixed because they're static payments, why would you now have to reset and pay thousands of dollars more a month? So that market's gone, okay? And then you have all these older folks that were the empty nesters looking to downsize. Their family's telling them, don't sell, keep the property, repurpose it, turn it into a rental, let's keep it in the family. So you got three segments that aren't moving. And you're not seeing that turnover, you're not seeing those deals come onto the marketplace. We're hearing that condos are not moving. Okay, we're starting to see some concern in the condo market. A lot of these condos were in the investment pool, right? So now the rents don't even cover the mortgage payment, the condo fees, and the property taxes. So they're upside down. No one's making investments to go negative cash flow because they always want to put the least amount of down payment down. And when I talk about negative cash flow, I'm talking about 20% down, carrying an 80% mortgage, loan to value mortgage. It's just not covering. You're offside about $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And no investor is going to want to cough up $12,000 to $18,000 a year to put into an investment for cash flow purposes. So we got a sticky situation. We got a situation where there's not a lot of activity. I do believe the April numbers may improve over March, but you have to remember the March numbers were terrible. They were the lowest sales numbers in the last 10 years. Okay, and March's number was less than March of 2020 when COVID was announced and locked down people halfway through the month. So it's a real challenge, and one that I think isn't going to solve itself unless we see a dramatic change to qualifying rules and intervention by the government to help folks figure this out. Now, what I will say is that I really believe the CPI basket needs to include another component, and that's taxes. Taxes have become a major contributor to inflation, and I'm going to explain why. When you go out and buy a basket of groceries that was $100, your GST, HST, is 13%, and that's $13. When you're now spending $200 on a basket of groceries, okay, for whatever reason, your HST is now $26. Now, one thing I do know is that wages have not been rising at the rate of inflation or at the rate houses have been going up. So we're seeing this real problem and gap between wages and values of homes, values of goods, and inflation. And when taxes are charged at 13% on goods and services, and prices go up, you're now paying more taxes on consumption, which eats up a bigger chunk of your discretionary spending. And I think it's important, with all the layers of taxes being imposed by governments at all levels, property taxes, sales taxes, excise taxes, gas taxes, sin taxes, whatever it is, okay? Everything is going up and it's taking a bigger chunk of discretionary spending. We should know what is the inflation rate of the tax rate. I'd be really interested in knowing if there's a way to calculate that to give people a true understanding of what this government is charging us and what we're getting for it. Because right now, we have the public service on strike. The federal public service is on strike, and they're looking for 30% raise. When they get their raise, the taxpayer is going to pay for it, okay? Because they're government employees. So I think it's fair to ask, what is the inflation rate on taxes? I don't know. I think it's important. But anyways, I don't know if there's any questions, but I'd be really interested to know if we could figure something out with that, because it should be a component of the CPI. Let's go to the used Porsche Tracker. We've seen a steady decline for a while. For the last few weeks, we saw the hike. I think the height was 1,136 used Porsches were for sale within 100 kilometers of where I sit at Dufferin and Orphis. And that was back in late January, February. Slowly came down. I think we came down last week to 1,034. So it dropped almost 100 used Porsches. It's now back up. So we've seen a little movement going up. So we're now at 1,041. So there's a few extra used Porsches for sale this week. That's 10.3% more than what was for sale back in September when we started tracking this on a weekly basis, where it was 944. So we're up a little bit. So that's all good. We got a couple questions. We're going to go in the bag. The hockey helmet, put your chin straps on. Okay, we're going to take a couple questions. So let's see what we got here. And thanks to all of you that were kind enough to submit your questions. So this is from Noshi 18. Have you seen an increase in mortgage applications to coincide with the market picking up? Good question. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we have been seeing a flurry of pre-approvals. Lots of people excited to get pre-approved, try to figure out if they could get into the market. They want to know what they qualify for. They want to understand, what their payments are and whatnot, their budgets. But not a lot of people actually executing them. They're getting caught in some bidding wars. They're getting used to this. The price is listed below market, and they're getting turned off a little bit on the bidding wars. But not a lot of sales so far. So we are seeing activity, but not necessarily the right activity, okay? So thanks for that question. Let's get another one. From Sham 99998. I've sold my house, waiting to buy. Inventory is so low. Send prayers that what I want is for sale soon. Well, not really a question, just a comment, but I hope so too. Be patient. If you're pre-approved, make sure you know exactly what your budget is so you don't put yourself in a tough situation. What else did we want to do? Okay, we gave away the book to Joni, and we got the Leaf game tonight, right? So for those of you that maybe watch the OP show, I know Nick Opadesano has that Revealing Real Estate show. He has it every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And a couple weeks ago, when the playoffs started, Nick asked me what I thought the Leafs would do. And I made a little prediction, and people thought it was absolutely nuts. I actually said the Leafs would win in 5 games. Now, they did get blown out that first game. I got laughed at, ridiculed. People sent me comments like, you're absolutely crazy. And I'm telling you, we could be on pace where I may be right if they win tonight. So Game 5's tonight. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. And I think they're going to do it. I got the feeling of 1993 when my good friend Doug Gilmour was captain of the Leafs and led them on that excellent run that ended in that odd play against Wayne Gretzky and the Kings. So I got a feeling that something good's going to happen this year. And let's hope so, because it's been a shitty run. And we could see some happy people this weekend, which could provide a flurry of activity. People are in good moods, good things happen, and we'll see what happens. If you could subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, trying to achieve some goals. And if you can help me, I would really, really appreciate it. It's hot in here. I'm boiling. I'm excited about tonight's game. I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope next week we got some good things to talk about with the Leafs, and we start seeing some things turn with interest rates. Hopefully the market stats for April come out and are positive. We'll take a look and see what all that's about. But if you do need some help, if you do need some assistance with your mortgage, some financing tips, some help with budgeting, please call my office. We're here to help, we're here to serve, and we're looking to give anybody a hand that needs one. So please, folks, if you do need any assistance, reach out. Our team is here to help you out, and we'd love to chat with you. And to sum it all up, be kind to everybody. If you have a friend, a family member, you could buy a drink, buy a lunch, buy a meal for, do so. There's some people struggling out there. You don't know who they are. So if you have the capacity to help somebody out, do so. You'd be surprised at what impact that will make. So hopefully we could all do some good deeds. Enjoy a great weekend. Celebrate a little bit tonight if things work out. And we'll see you all next week. Have a great time, great weekend. Take care. Go Leafs, go.